Monday, the president of Ecuador, Guillermo Lasso, declared a state of emergency in the province of Manabí and Los Rios following the murder of the mayor of Manta, Agustin Intriago. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a law on the introduction of the digital ruble and the creation of a corresponding electronic platform. The United Nations organization reported that at least 435 children have been killed and more than 2,000 injured in Sudan as part of the 100-day-old conflict. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. And today, July the 24th, teleSUR turns 18, taking a stand for the voiceless peoples, bringing forward the truth of Latin America and bringing the counterpart of the hegemonic narrative. On July the 24th, 2005, Hugo Chávez's dreams came true. The creation of teleSUR, the new vision of the South, currently a multimedia that exposes the voice of the people, social movements, and political forces that fight for justice and against oppression. For 18 years, our agenda has focused on addressing the issues of Latin American integration, covering events that do not find a space in other media and showing them from the struggle of social movements, popular sectors, leftist parties, and the rights of indigenous people. The Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel congratulates the multinational TV broadcaster teleSUR on its 18th anniversary. On the social network Twitter, the head of state wrote, "Our North is the South. We already knew it, but no one has said it so beautifully until July the 24th, 2005. Congratulations, dear teleSUR. teleSUR is the image and voice of the people in a struggle, the guardian of the truth, the emancipating dream of Fidel and Chávez, which today turns 18-year-old, coinciding with the birth date of Venezuela's national hero, Simón Bolívar." In the framework of the 18th anniversary of the communications multi-platform teleSUR, Venezuelan Foreign Ministry recalled that the Latin American media emerged from an idea promoted by Commander Hugo Chávez and Fidel Castro. Also, El Correo del Alba sent greetings and praised teleSUR's informative work that did emphasize is a voice for the peoples of America and the world. Among the multiple messages of congratulations and thanksgivings, the Puebla Group noted that in 18 years, teleSUR has challenged the media hegemony and has maintained its commitment to truth and dignity. And they face contemporary challenges. teleSUR is taking on technological improvements and new formats in its efforts to amplify its stories that others prefer to keep quiet. Details in the following report.
A dream come true, to tell the story of the South with its own voice. The yearning of millions from Latin America and the Caribbean to be visible found in teleSUR the possibility of starring in stories that before would have been deliberately invisibilized by the corporate media.
In these 18 years, teleSUR has become a genuine expression of formerly invisible realities, telling the stories of nobodies of our continent and around the world. Realities that have been manipulated and hidden by the big media outlets.
teleSUR began as a television channel on July 24, 2005, at the initiative of Commanders Hugo Chávez and Fidel Castro. In tune with the challenges of the new times, it became an informative multimedia.
The fact that teleSUR Signal is now 18 years old is basically the consolidation of what was once the dream of Commander Chávez, and that now allow us to be brothers and sisters and to take that sense of brotherhood to different parts of the world, from Africa to a good part of Europe. And it is not just about broadcasting an ideal, but all the cultural wealth that we have in Latin America and the Caribbean, and for that, without a doubt, teleSUR has been a key piece.
With more than 20 correspondents and collaborators around the world, teleSUR speaks the languages of our region. The public multi-state initiative with the greatest global impact in Latin America and the Caribbean reaches Europe, the Middle East, and Africa with its Spanish broadcasting service. With its English broadcasting service, it reaches the English-speaking Caribbean and Africa. It also distributes content for social networks in Portuguese.
My wish is that we continue to move forward, to go deeper, to advance more, to unify our work, which is the most important thing. And my wish is to continue to fulfill another 18 years of work.
In order to build its own communication agenda, this multimedia company maintains alliances, cooperation agreements, and collaborative journalism projects with media such as CGTN from China, Russia Today, Ispan TV from Iran, Al Mujahideen from Lebanon, and the television of the BRICS. It also provides high-quality content to broadcasters without production capacity for major global events.
teleSUR came to break some of that hegemony, and it came to build democracy, because when there is more than one version of a news event, it helps to create in the listener, in the viewer, a broader vision of the facts.
More than 600 workers of this multimedia company at its headquarters in Caracas, its production centers in Havana, Mexico, Quito, and in its offices around the world resisted during the last 5 years the impact of coercive measures against the member states.
My wish is that we continue to grow as people, as professionals. teleSUR has been seen as an opportunity for many countries that have been invisible. teleSUR has opened those windows.
The challenge now is to move from resistance to creative growth in order to multiply the informative strength of the multimedia with emphasis on innovation and journalistic quality of its contents, formats, and platforms.
teleSUR has always been in a technological growth, and let's say in terms of its expansion. It is broadcasted around the world. This is not a secret that has been permanent. This new teleSUR studio, Studio D, digital studio, we have called it that. It is a studio that will produce podcasts in this case.
Thus, day by day, teleSUR makes history and tells it with the tune of diverse voices and images from the global south.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can now follow us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English. There you will be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back from the south. On Monday, the president of Ecuador, Guillermo Lasso, declared a state of emergency in the provinces of Manabí and Los Ríos following the murder of the mayor of Manta, Agustin Intriago. The measure was also dictated for the Duran municipality in the province of Guayas, where a citizen security committee was held led by Lasso. The state of exception includes a curfew, which will be enforced from 22 hours until the 5 hours the following days. Lasso informed that a suspect has already been arrested for his presumed participation in the crime against the mayor. On Monday, Venezuela commemorates the 240th anniversary of the birth of the liberator Simón Bolívar, the date of the Navy, and the 200th anniversary of the naval battle of Lake Maracaibo. As part of these patriotic dates in the country, the raisings of the national flags took place at the National Pantheon located in the city of Caracas. During his speech, the Minister of Interior Relations, Peace and Justice, Admiral-in-Chief Regimio Ceballos Ichazo, emphasized that being this the Victory Day, Venezuela celebrates the birth of the liberator, the date of the Bolívar Navy, and the 200th anniversary of the Maracaibo Lake naval battle. Simultaneously, the authorities of Caracas performed the cantata for the liberator, a musical offering from the Plaza Bolivar in Caracas to commemorate the 240th anniversary of the birth of Simón Bolívar. The mayor of Caracas praised Simón Bolívar and described him as an universal man who devoted himself to his ideals of sovereignty and independence of both Venezuela and Latin American countries.
Today we are showing the world the true face of Bolívar. Bolívar is universal, he's everywhere. We have lived the history of these recent days when this monument, a copy of this monument, arrived in Moscow, Russia, for the peoples of the world.
Several social and indigenous organizations are mobilizing as part of the call for a national strike, with which they seek to defend the electoral process in Guatemala. Some popular spokespersons have indicated that the purpose of the national strike is to show the population's rejection of the alleged irregularities in the run-up to the second round of the 2023 general elections. Under the slogan "Guatemala will bloom," the demonstrators who expressed to be against corruption gathered at the headquarters of the public ministry to demand the resignation of the prosecutor and the judges for trying to boycott the electoral process. At the same time, groups of workers and students from the University Auditorium in Guatemala City joined the mobilizations on Monday to the headquarters of the public ministry. The health workers demand the celebration of fair and free elections and urge the government to respect the democratic rights of the population. In Bolivia, preparations began on Monday for the experimental population and housing census, which will be carried out in the municipality of Capinota, department of Cochabamba. The director of the National Statistics Institute, Humberto Ariandia, informed that a census will take place on July the 29th. In turn, in global terms, he detailed that this statistical cartographic update is more than 99% complete, and only two segments of the Department of Cochabamba and Santa Cruz still need to be finalized. The National Institute of Statistics and Geography of Mexico recorded a slowdown in inflation during the first 2 weeks of July. Data provided by the central bank showed a drop in inflation in the first half of July, getting closer and closer to the Bank of Mexico's target. Last year, inflation in Latin American countries showed high levels not seen in more than 2 decades, which led the central bank to increase its interest rate. In turn, the government implemented an anti-inflation and anti-high cost package to try to contain the prices of certain commodities. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you will be able to watch our interviews, top stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. One final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a law on the introduction of the digital ruble and the creation of a corresponding electronic platform. The law implies an additional form of Russia's national currency, which will be issued along with the existing form of money. That means that the Russian ruble will have 3 forms: cash, non-cash, and digital. The law, which comes into force on August 1st, establishes, with the exception of a number of provisions, the basic concept necessary for the introduction of the digital ruble, including the definition of its legal status and transactions with the currency. On Monday, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko visit an Orthodox monastery in Russia's northwestern Republic of Karelia. The Volam monastery, located in the land of Balan on Lake Lagoda, is one of the most revered Russian Orthodox sites. The two leaders visited the cathedral in the monastery, lighted candles, and thanked the church members. The head of state also went to St. Vladimir Hermitage, where the Vladimir Church is located. Civil organizations in Israel mobilized in rejection of the approval of the first law of the judicial reform that limits the functions of the Supreme Court to supervise the government of Benjamin Netanyahu. On Monday, the protests that started on January 2023 against the reform plan promoted by the Netanyahu's government continue. Protesters claim that the changes in the law represents a threat to the Israeli people. While the executive justifies that the reform is necessary to regulate, control, and influence that the judiciary has on the adoption of laws, the changes made in the proposal give the legislators greater control over the Supreme Court. The United Nations organizations reported that at least 435 children have been killed and more than 2,000 injured in Sudan as part of the 100-day-old conflict. The United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF received multiple reports detailing more than 2,000 violations of children's rights. The institution detailed that the measures imposed by the groups of dispute only resulted in destruction and looting of crucial supplies and facilities, leaving at least 690,000 children exposed to severe malnutrition and more than 1 million children under 1 year old at risk of losing essential vaccinations. At least 17 people were found dead after a boat capsized in Senegal's capital, Dakar, according to local officials on Tuesday. The number of people in the program is not yet known, but 2 people were rescued alive. The bodies were discovered by the Navy earlier in the morning and are believed to be migrants who of the type of boats they were in, explained a neighborhood mayor Top Goye. Although this is the first time that dead bodies have appeared in the neighborhood, migrants dead at the sea are becoming increasingly frequent in Senegal. Iraqi government asks European Union to reconsider the so-called freedom of expression after new Quran burning in Denmark. The declarations come after a group of people gathered on Monday in front of the Iraqi embassy in Copenhagen to burn a copy of the Holy Book of Islam. In a statement, the Iraqi government denounced the systematic burning of the Holy Book of Muslims and called on the West to reconsider its position of viewing these acts of a legitimate right to protest. The text further stated that these incidents only allowed extremists and had tried to put societies in a real threat to peacefully coexistence. Monday, Tunisians scrambles to find ways to suspend their activities as temperatures soars above 50 degrees Celsius in a North African country. Summer maximum temperatures are usually 45 degrees Celsius. This current in heat causes power outages as demand outstrips supplies. Moreover, in the capital Tunis, those with air conditioning stayed indoors, while those who would venture outside sought shelters under the street while trying to stay hydrated. On Sunday night, some people left their homes to sleep in tents erected in the beach. The heat wave that the region is facing has also been blamed from the eruption of wildfires in the country and in neighboring Algeria, where 15 people have been killed according to the authorities. And on Monday, wildfires ranging across Algeria during a blistering heat wave have killed more than 30 people and forced mass evacuations. According to the Interior Ministry, temperatures hit 48 degrees Celsius in part of the North African country, and 97 blaze were recorded in 16 provinces. The first fires killed at least 43 people, including 10 soldiers, as they ranged through residential areas, the Interior Ministry said, revising the early toll of 15 deaths. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.